I feel like we're in a flow state right now. We are on day number 7, and you guessed it, the Golden State Valkyries, you guys are up. Hi, if you're new here, my name is Justice, giving you all my verdicts and views about women's basketball. And by the end of this video, we would have answered the question of, will my fave make roster? Now, I'll be honest, this was probably one of my favorite rosters that I've broken down, just because they're working with a different element that we haven't seen with the other camps. So it's going to make it very interesting on how we evaluate who will make the final roster. But Golden State Valkyries, everyone's dark horse last season. I think nobody expected Natalie Nakase to do what she did when it came to the Golden State Valkyries. But the interesting thing about the Valkyries is their approach. Typically, most teams you see big names, but with the Golden State Valkyries last year, they got a bunch of players who, in a different conversation, would be categorized as role players or six-mans. But the thing about them is the identity, and the identity of the Golden State Valkyries is what separates them and gave them ability to do what no other expansion team had been able to do up until this point, and that is make playoffs and win games. Honestly, Golden State Valkyries gave everybody a run for their money. They came out guns a-blazing. So let's figure out who is coming to camp. On our veteran protected contracts, we have 6 players. They snagged Gabby Williams in free agency. That is probably, first of all, shout out to Gabby Williams, got a payday. My sister signed a $1 million contract, but was one of the biggest gets the Valkyries could have signed. They also have Veronica Burton, Kayla Thornton, Tiffany Hayes, Kia Stokes, and Kayla Charles. Now for our unprotected contracts, we have 4 players: Chechi Zandilicini, Janelle, Ileana, and then last but not least, Kate Martin. So that's going to bring our number to 10. So let's briefly talk about draft night. Draft night, Golden State Valkyries had 3 picks. Remember, they did the trade with the Seattle Storm, traded Flaugier for Marta Suarez, so they end up getting the number 16 pick. And then they're going to draft Ashlyn Jackson with the number 23rd pick. And then they're also going to have the number 38th pick, which is going to be a draft and stash of Kokoro Tanaka. Now, mind you, they activated also Yusite Yochite. They drafted her last year. If you remember, that was their 5th pick, and she was a draft and stash. She's now 20. They drafted her. She was 19. Now she's 20, and they did say she will be coming over this season. Now, interesting to note, and this is going to be very important when we do this breakdown, there are a handful of players who are currently still with their international team, fulfilling international responsibilities, and are not with training camp. Now, this is very important. The Golden State Valkyries only have 1 preseason game, and that is on Saturday. And there is a good chance that Gabby, Chechi, Kayla, and Ileana will not be back for that game. Also, Yusite Yochite is not with the team as well. She's also currently doing international responsibilities. A little bit of history for you guys. Before the prioritization rule was a big thing, a lot of players were playing more overseas. So typically what we would see in training camp was that there would be all these players who would get training camp contracts, but as soon as the vets arrived and the players from overseas, they would waive everybody. Honestly, they just needed bodies for camp until their core players came back from being overseas. This is important to note because this is what I believe is going to happen with the Valkyries. They essentially have 6 players who are currently not with the team, but we can bet our bottom dollar essentially will be on the team when everything is said and done. But right now, especially leading up to this game on Saturday, they need bodies. Important to note in this conversation. But let's continue and talk about who is all on training camp contracts. Currently on training camp contracts, we have Caitlin Chin, Leticia Amihir, Jackalonga, Mila Soha, Mariella, Kate Reese, and Caroline Ducharme. So let's talk about who will be on this team without a shadow of doubt. Remember, it's going to be our 6 players who are on protected contracts: Gabby, Kayla, Kia, Kayla, Tip, and Veronica. Now, there are 4 players who are unprotected contracts, but I do think they will be on the team as well. Again, a lot of them are international and will not be over, I don't believe, by that Saturday game, or will be playing the Saturday game. So with that being said, I still believe that they will be on this final roster, and that's going to be Janelle, Ileana, Kate, and then Chechi. So that's going to bring our number to 10. So right now, that only leaves 2 available spots for somebody to take, and then only 2 development spots as well. So let's figure out, will our fave make roster? Now, this is where it gets interesting, and I'm going to try to communicate this as clear as possible, but just walk with me, right? 2 spots available. I believe, honestly, they're going to give one of those spots to Caitlin Chin. Caitlin, they brought her back last year. I think she fits to a T the identity of the Golden State Valkyries. She also made tremendous strides. She was hooping over there in AU. They need a backup point guard as well. So I think she is, again, if we're going to do our little breakdown for the guards, she is the outside looking in for that number 11 spot. But I think she edges it. I think that spot will go to Caitlin. Now, Ashlyn Jackson, I think, is going to be Caitlin's biggest competition for that spot. The numbers are just so tight on this roster. I do believe ultimately, unfortunately, Ashley might be the one getting the short end of the stick when it comes to making those final cuts. Now, uphill battle, it's going to be Caroline, Jackalanga, and Mila. I think they are going to be the ones that experience getting, when all the other vets and returners come back, that they're going to be waived to make room for them. Now, follow me with the post. I believe that 12th spot is going to be a fight. They have two directions that they can take when it comes to the players that are available. Of course, I think they are prioritizing Yusite, but she's only 20. So I truly believe, depending on how she comes in and is able to, again, make an impact and play, and what does it look like? A 20-year-old, it's a difficult transition. So I can see Natalie utilizing one of the development spots for Yusite just so she can grow at the pace that she needs to, and you don't rush the development. Now, this is where the Valkyries are going to have to make some tough decisions. We have one spot on roster left, and we have one developmental spot. Now, I do think that they are prioritizing Marta Suarez. They picked her at number 16. That is an intentional pick. So there's a good chance that spot can go to her. But there's one player who's on training camp that you cannot overlook, and that is Moriella. She's 28 years old, is just played in the Euro Cup. She's averaging 18.9 points, 9.8 rebounds. She's an immediate plug and play. Versatile, they were really high on her when they brought her in on a training camp contract. She's a player. Mind you, Saturday's game is going to be very important because all the centers, Ileana Rupert, Chechi, some other forwards will not be in attendance. So if Moriella goes out there and hoops, gets a double-double, really puts on the show, she's going to make this decision even harder for the Valkyries about who to pick. If Moriella and Leticia come out and hoop, because it's not just Moriella that has fighting for that spot. Leticia is too, and I don't want to count her out as well. So I think Marta Suarez is outside looking in. She does have the potential to make the roster. I'm listening. Natalie has spoken very high about her. I think she has a good chance of either taking that 12 spot or getting the other developmental spot. One or the two. If the Valkyries are looking for immediate production, or if they're looking for a slow burn, that is what's going to be the deciding factor of what goes. Again, and they still have Leticia Amy here, which I think is a sleeper. And I think ultimately might end up getting the short end of the stick in the conversation as well. And I saw how they did her last year. So with that being said, with our formula, if we are doing outside the door, I'll give it to Marta. I think she has a good chance of getting either the development spot or that 12 spot. In the front yard, yeah, you better be checking on Moriella. And obviously that leaves on the uphill battle, Leticia and Kate. Yeah, the numbers just don't work out on Golden State. Somebody's going to get the short end of the stick. Yosite is going to get one of those development spots. I think that's a lock. So when it comes to the other development spot, honestly, Ashlyn, if she doesn't able to get the spot from Caitlin Chin, she's going to have a hard time getting the other development spot, because they also have Marta, who's fighting for that 12 spot between her, Leticia, and Moriella. It's just going to be a really difficult and some tough decisions, and it kind of just depends on what the Golden State Valkyries want to do. Marta is going to be a phenomenal player, but she probably isn't a finished product as Moriella is right now. Obviously, I can expect a lot of waves as their international players start coming back over. Just based upon the roster as is, I think the Golden State Valkyries are going to have another successful year. And I can't say it with every video. I'm like, every team's going to be good, but Golden State Valkyries, I think, are going to be better than last year and will continue to put some pressure on some people for sure.